Here's something that confuses a lot of men. You can be calm, you can be respectful, you can even be gentle. But the moment you stop sugarcoating, the moment you say what you actually mean, something changes. Not always, not with every woman, but with some women, the shift is immediate. 1 minute, you're having a normal conversation. The next, it's tears, anger, accusations. You don't love me anymore. You've changed. You're attacking me. And you're sitting there wondering, how did a single honest sentence turn into a crisis? Because what's happening isn't really about the words you said. It's about what your honesty represents. To some women, the truth doesn't land as information. It lands as a threat. Not because you were harsh, not because you were unkind, but because your honesty just removed something they were depending on. And once you understand that, you stop getting pulled into the chaos. Most men assume the problem is the truth itself, that the truth is somehow too harsh, that the truth is the weapon. But in many situations, the truth isn't the weapon at all. The truth is simply the moment the illusion stops working. Because for some people, reassurance isn't a preference, it's a requirement. They're not looking for reality, they're looking for emotional certainty. They want to feel safe, adored, and chosen no matter what. So when you speak honestly, you remove the emotional cushion, and that cushion may be exactly what they were using to stay stable. That's why the reaction can feel so disproportionate. You didn't just answer a question. You didn't just share an opinion. You disrupted a system where your role was to constantly confirm their emotional world. And when you stop doing that, it can feel to them like betrayal. Not a betrayal of love, but a betrayal of the agreement. The unspoken agreement that you would protect the feeling, even if it meant sacrificing reality. Let's talk about a classic scenario. She asks, "Do I look fat in this?" Most men treat it like a normal question, so they answer it like a normal human being. But with some women, it isn't a normal question. It's a loaded one. Because underneath it, there are different questions being asked. Do you still desire me? Am I still safe with you? Am I still enough? Will you protect my self-image right now? That's why even a brief pause can create tension. Because she isn't listening for your opinion. She's listening for stability. She's listening for reassurance. And if your answer doesn't provide that emotional safety, her mind doesn't register it as, "He's being honest." Instead, it registers it as something else entirely. He's pulling away. He's judging me. He's about to reject me. And once that shift happens, the emotional system goes into overdrive. That isn't logic. It's a nervous system response. And once it's triggered, you're no longer having a conversation. You're in damage control. And here's the pattern. Some women ask questions that don't have a safe answer. If I died, would you remarry? Do you think my friend is pretty? Am I as attractive as I was when we met? Are you still as excited about me as before? If you say yes, you're wrong. And if you say no, you're also wrong. Because the point was never the answer. The point is to see what you're willing to do to preserve emotional peace. Will you soften your words? Will you edit reality? Will you abandon your own perspective? Not because she's trying to control you like a villain, but because reassurance has become the way she regulates her inner world. So she tests, and then she tests again. And over time, a man learns something dangerous. Truth creates drama, so truth must be avoided. That's how a man slowly becomes emotionally cautious. Not because he's cold, but because he's learned that honesty comes with consequences. Now, listen carefully. A lot of men make this worse without even realizing it. Because when the emotional reaction hits, they try to win with logic. They start explaining, they start defending, they start giving speeches. They think, if I just clarify enough, she'll understand. But that isn't what's happening. The reaction isn't confusion, it's emotional threat. So when you respond with logic and defensiveness, she feels even less safe. Then she escalates. And the man thinks, see, she can't handle the truth. But the deeper issue is this: you told the truth without holding the emotional frame. And frame doesn't mean being controlling. Frame means staying steady. It means being able to speak honestly without panic, without anger, without punishment, and without retreat. Because when you stay calm, you teach her something important. That truth doesn't mean abandonment. That truth doesn't mean danger. That truth can exist without chaos. But if you flinch, if you over-explain, and if you apologize for reality, you train the opposite. You teach her that her emotional reaction has power over your integrity, and once that dynamic sets in, the tests increase. This is how men get trained into small lies, not big lies, not cheating lies, just constant, tiny edits. Yes, it's amazing. Yes, you're right. No, I didn't notice. Of course I love it. Of course I agree. At first, he thinks he's being kind, but over time something changes. He stops knowing what he actually thinks, because every time he speaks honestly, it's followed by conflict. So his brain learns a simple equation. Honesty equals stress. Agreement equals peace. And now he's no longer speaking. He's calculating, not because he wants to manipulate her, but because he's trying to survive emotional volatility. And here's the irony. The same woman who demands honesty often becomes the woman who creates the conditions where honesty feels unsafe. And then she says, "You never communicate." But the truth is simple. Communication isn't possible when every truth becomes a landmine. This is where it gets serious. Because when a man has to constantly edit himself, intimacy begins to die. Real intimacy requires truth, not harsh truth, not cruel truth, just truth. The ability to say, "This bothered me. I don't like that. I felt disrespected. I'm worried. I'm not okay with this." But in some relationships, the moment a man speaks like that, the truth is turned into a weapon. It's your fault I feel this way. You're attacking me. You're not being supportive. And when that happens often enough, he stops opening up. He becomes emotionally strategic. He keeps things on the surface. From the outside, it looks like he's shut down, but from the inside, it's something else entirely. He learned that being real comes with a cost, so he pays with distance. And that's how two people can live together, yet feel emotionally alone. Not because there's no love, but because truth no longer feels safe. Now here's the key. The solution isn't lying, and it isn't telling her what she wants to hear. The solution is learning how to combine two things: honesty and reassurance. Because reassurance by itself isn't the problem. If a woman feels insecure sometimes, that's human. If she wants closeness, that's normal. The issue begins when reassurance turns into a demand and honesty becomes off limits. That's where things break down. So this is what emotional leadership actually looks like. She asks, "Do I look fat in this?" You don't answer like a scared man. You answer like a steady one. You might say, "I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to love you. If you're feeling insecure, tell me that directly." Or, "You're asking me for reassurance, not a measurement. And yes, I'm still attracted to you." That's not a lie. That's direction. You're not submitting to a trap. You're guiding the conversation toward the real need, because the goal isn't to win an argument. The goal is to stop living inside emotional games. Here's where most men fail. They either cave or they become harsh. They turn into people pleasers or they turn into walls. But there's a third option. Refuse the game calmly. When she asks something designed to trap you, you don't panic and you don't attack. You can say, "That question doesn't feel fair. If you need reassurance, I'm here. But I'm not going to answer something designed to start a fight." Or, "I'm not going to play that game. Talk to me like a partner, and I'll respond like a partner." That isn't rude. That's mature. And here's what usually happens. A healthy woman will respect it. An emotionally immature woman will escalate. And that escalation gives you information. Because if a woman can't handle calm, respectful boundaries, she isn't reacting to your tone. She's reacting to the loss of control. And that's exactly why some women can't handle the truth. Because truth removes leverage. So, let's bring it home. When you tell the truth and everything suddenly explodes, don't immediately assume you did something wrong. Ask a better question. Was this relationship built on real intimacy or on emotional management? Because some relationships aren't built on connection. They're built on regulation. One person stays calm only if the other keeps feeding reassurance. One person stays stable only if the other keeps walking on eggshells. And the moment that stops, the system collapses. That doesn't mean women are bad. It means some women were never taught emotional self-responsibility. They were taught, if I feel it, it must be true. If I'm upset, you must fix it. If I'm insecure, you must erase it. And when a man tells the truth calmly, he brings reality back into the room. That's why it can feel so triggering, because now there's something to face: insecurity, choices, behavior, and personal responsibility. And that's uncomfortable. But here's the truth. Real love isn't built on constant reassurance. Real love is built on honesty, handled with respect. And if a woman can't handle truth delivered calmly, she isn't rejecting the truth itself. She's rejecting the responsibility that comes with it. So, your job isn't to manage her emotional world. Your job is to stay grounded, speak clearly, stay calm, hold your boundaries, and let the relationship reveal what it truly is. Because living in truth is better than performing in lies.